Good morning, Cole Canyon Coyotes. Welcome to our Friday Flag video. Whether you are a student or a staff member, we appreciate you, of course, tuning in each week. Let's begin our Friday Flag video with the Pledge of Allegiance, shall we? Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. So next week, next Friday, we have another live Friday Flag ceremony. So we're excited about that. But for this week, of course, it's our video. Guys and girls, we had such a great Red Ribbon Week and all these activities on our campus to promote healthy living and being bully-free. Your participation shows that you too are serious about all that and you want to present as a hero to all. So one area I do want to touch on today is the restroom expectations. Remember, we've talked about this before, guys and girls. The restroom is not a place to play, a place to hang out, or a place to hide from others. We only use the restroom for one purpose, and once done, we wash our hands and we go straight back to class. Please make sure you get permission from your teacher, of course, to leave the classroom first, and you always need to sign that bathroom log. So thank you for listening to this important message and student expectation, keeping us all safe and healthy. Now here's Mr. Zanartu with a special message. I think it's about trust. So take it away, Mr. Z.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Shaw, and good morning, Coyotes. Yes, today I want to talk to you about this really important concept, and that is trust. Trust is really that glue that holds us together as a community, and especially as a classroom. Now, trust doesn't mean that we have to all be best friends. We don't have to spend every moment liking all the same things. But what it does mean is that we have to believe in each other, and we have to be able to work together. We have to trust that we have something special to offer, something unique that makes our class diverse and a wonderful place to be. Think of trust kind of like a magic ingredient that makes teamwork possible. When we trust each other, we can work together like a well-oiled machine, even if we're not the best of friends. Trust allows us to share our ideas without fear, knowing that our classmates will listen, respect our thoughts, even if they're different from our own. And here's the exciting part. Trust isn't about just trusting others, it's also about trusting ourselves. That means we have to believe in our abilities, our creativity, and our potential to grow. So, how do you know you're doing your best? Well, ask yourself the following. Did I try my best today? Did I help my classmates when I needed it? Did I listen and respect others' ideas? Did I make choices that were helpful? Sound familiar, boys and girls? These questions aren't just for today, they're for every day. So as you think about them, you'll discover ways to become better, not just as students, but as human beings. So remember, just like a garden of unique flowers with varying types, when we trust and support each other, we can create a beautiful, harmonious bouquet which brightens up the entire classroom and the school. So, Coyotes, let's embrace trust. Let's believe in ourselves and each other and ask ourselves those important questions so we can all grow together. Because when we trust, we work together, there's no limit to what you can achieve. With something to think about, this is your school counselor, Mr. Zanartu. Have a great weekend, everyone. Now it's time for those trustworthy Howleys heroes. Take it away, Mrs. Lane.
Hello, students and staff, and remember that each Friday Flag video, we will be recognizing those students in all grade levels who have earned the hero shout out from his or her teacher. Remember that these are the students who have shown what it means to be helpful, encouraging, respectful, and outstanding in class. So here we go. Starting with our kindergartners. From Mrs. Amkraut's class, we have Jonah. From Mrs. Gorton's class, we have Junior. Heading into our first graders, from Mrs. Stringer's class, we have Max. From Mrs. Cron's class, we have Lexi. From Mrs. Espinoza, we have Rowan. From Mrs. Murray, we have Lexi. From Mrs. Mored, we have Finn. And finally, for our first graders, from Mr. Reagan's class, we have Araya. For our second graders, from Mrs. Teresa's class, we have Raul. From Miss Silva's class, we have Jace. From Mrs. Garrity, we have Josephine. From Mrs. Pacey, we have Jocelyn and Cameron. And for our third graders, heading into Mrs. Hess's class, we have William. From Mrs. Welch, we have Brennan. From Mrs. Hewitson, we have Levi. From Mrs. Tope, we have Cameron. And finally, for third grade, from Mrs. Hartley's class, we have Peyton. Heading into our fourth graders, from Miss Ariana, we have Kenny. From Mrs. Schroeder's class, we have Remington. From Mrs. Calvillo Murray, we have Seth. From Mr. Pacey, we have Hannah. From Mrs. Murray, we have Jack. And from Miss Hayes, we have Stella. And finally, for our fourth graders, from Mrs. Trujillo's class, we have Miles. Rounding it out with our fifth graders, from Mrs. Bryan's class, we have Cody S. From Mrs. Reagan, we have Mateo. From Mrs. Greenstein, we have Jacobo. From Mrs. Murray's class, we have Manuel. From Mrs. Mirande's class, we have London and Alex. From Mrs. Bethke's class, we have Kira. And from Mrs. Hemrick, we have Valerie. Congratulations to all of you that have earned this weekly shout out. Remember that these names are entered into our monthly drawing for a special prize at each grade level at our live Friday Flag Assembly. Now let's turn it back over to Mr. Shaw to close us out.
Yeah, and thank you, Miss Lane. Thank you, Mr. Zenard, too. We missed Dr. Wheeler this morning, but that's okay. We'll catch her at the live one next Friday, the 3rd. Hey, so we're also very proud of you, heroes on this campus. We hope that these Friday videos encourage you to make good choices, model that appropriate behavior at all times, and of course, be a part of a dynamic community of learners. So have a great weekend, everyone. Take care. We'll see you back on Monday. Take care.